Hi, I'm Andee, the Director of Data and Eligibility at School Food Solutions, and this training is covering the Community Eligibility Provision and the Universal Benefit Application for California. So let's start with just an overview of what eligibility means in terms of school data and specifically your situation as a CEP school. So what is CEP? What does that mean? CEP is Community Eligibility Provision. So it's a provision or a version of the National School Lunch Program available to schools that have at least 25% of their students being directly certified for automatic free lunch benefits. So the percentage of directly certified students in your school is called your ISP, or your identified student percentage. So the goal of CEP is to increase student participation and reduce administrative burdens by kind of simplifying the operating procedures for meal eligibility and meal counting. So meal reimbursements are going to get done with like a consistent percentage based on your school's ISP. There's an example here of how that all works. And then this also means that you cannot process traditional free and reduced meal applications. But in the state of California, due to requirements for SunBucks or summer EBT eligibility, as well as other funding that your schools can receive based on individual eligibility, you are required to collect some forms, and that is called the Universal Benefit Application. So we'll talk about that in great detail during this training. Another thing to note is that California requires all schools that have an ISP, an identified student percentage of 40% or greater, to participate in CEP. And that's to help them maximize the federal money that the state gets to help reimburse the meals you serve. So, as I mentioned before, why do we need to determine eligibility? Everybody's eating for free, right? It is required by the state of California in a couple of ways. One, direct certification matching should be happening in CalPads monthly according to California regulations. And universal benefit applications need to be made to families who are not directly certified so that they can qualify for benefits like SunBucks, mostly, which is a summer EBT cash benefit to families who qualify. They can also qualify for things like childcare, bus passes, testing fee waivers, college application fee waivers. In general, there's lots of benefits for families if they qualify as free or reduced. It also helps your school receive local control funding formula dollars and any other sources of funding or grants that are based on your free and reduced percentage. So there's a few ways that students can automatically become eligible as free or reduced. The main way is direct certification through CalPads. So students enrolled in your school are matched with state agency records of participating in either CalFresh, which is also known as SNAP or Supplemental Nutrition Assistance, CalWorks, also known as TANF or Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, or Medi-Cal, Medicaid. So SNAP, CalFresh, CalWorks, that would qualify the student for free benefits. Medi-Cal could qualify them as free or reduced depending on the income they reported when they applied for Medi-Cal. So if a student is participating in any of those programs and is matched between your school records and state agency records, they are automatically eligible as free or reduced. Also, if one child in the household is directly certified, then all children who live in that household can be extended that eligibility. So it's important for you to review the things that we send home to make sure that we're catching all those siblings who may have not been directly certified themselves, but should be granted the same status. Also, situations like homelessness, runaway status, migrant status, or foster status, If you guys can document that and report it to us, we can qualify those students automatically for free meals. Now, how does a family or a student become eligible via a universal meal application? On a universal meal application, they can report their household income. And if that income is below 185% of the federal poverty line for the current school year, which you can see in the charts here on the right, then those families, the children in that family would qualify as free or reduced. Again, it's based on the total annual income and the number of folks who live in that household. In addition to that, if a family lists a case number for anyone in the household participating in a qualifying assistance program like CalFresh or CalWorks, then that would also qualify them. And then if they report situations like homelessness, runaway, migrant, and foster, again, those situations would not automatically qualify them. That would have to be confirmed by a school or agency personnel, but they can mark those things on the universal meal application. We notify you and the families to a degree about if their students qualify. So firstly, school personnel. How are you going to know who's eligible and who's not? We send you student status lists on a regular basis during the busy kind of back to school season when we're getting a lot of applications. These come weekly or every other week. When things slow down, we try to send these monthly, every other month, depending on your school and how many we receive. But basically, this is just a list that shows all of your students and what they qualify for as free, reduced, or not qualifying. We ask that you review these to let us know of any potential sibling extensions. Also, these need to be shared with your CalPads administrators so that the students can get updated in your student information system and in CalPads as 181 free meal program or 182 reduced price meal program. There are records that they need to update in that system based on the eligibility that we send you. How will families themselves know if they're eligible to receive SunBucks benefits? What we're going to do is provide a letter template that you can send home to families in the following situations. If they're eligible via direct certification, the letter will say that they're eligible because of that and they should be getting SunBucks benefits. If they're eligible via a universal benefit application, similarly, it'll say that they qualify. If they complete an application and are not eligible based on what they put on that application, there'll be a version of a letter for that. This will include a process for appealing that decision. Let us know if any family believes that they should have qualified. Usually we can resolve that issue pretty quickly without needing to go through any kind of formal appeal. All right, let's talk about application processing procedures. School Food Solutions does a lot to manage the eligibility for your school. So we provide this training for any staff who are going to be dealing with applications. We create and share the universal benefit application packet for your school that's already ready to print and give to your families. We ensure that your point of sale system, where we keep this data on students, is configured and rostered for the new year. We process any applications that are, complete in your point of sale system and communicate about any incomplete apps with instructions on how to fix them. We're going to upload direct certification lists into your school's point of sale system. We're going to send you those status lists on a regular basis so that you can keep track of which students have been directly certified or have submitted an application. We're going to provide those family notification letter templates and the lists of which students should get each letter. And then we're also going to answer any questions from families or from school staff about eligibility. We're here as a resource for you. So what do you need to do at the school? One, we need those direct certification extracts from CalPads on a monthly basis. So make sure that your CalPads administrator knows that and is sending those to us. Your school is also going to need to make applications available to targeted families. So The universal benefit application does not need to be filled out if a family is directly certified. So you want to make sure that you're sending these application packets out just to the folks who might actually need to fill them out. So that's families who are not directly certified. You can send it via email. You can post a link on your website. You can put it in a newsletter. Whatever communication process works well for your families at your school, that will do. And then determine who at the school is going to be responsible for collecting the application. So make sure any persons on that team completes this training. We want to make sure they have all the information they need. And that team should also develop a system to review, scan, and store any paper applications that you do get back, or emailed applications that you get back. Each one that you receive needs to be checked to make sure it's not missing any required info. It needs to be scanned to School Food Solutions. Preferably this happens on a daily basis. Just any that you receive throughout the day, review them, scan them, and send a batch scan of those PDFs to us. And then if you receive original paper applications, those need to be secure and kept together. So we'll get into details about how to do all of that. First, let's talk about the universal benefit application packet itself. There's an instruction page and an application form, so you can print this front and back, and it's just one paper. But you need to provide the family with both the instructions and the application. Make sure when you get yours that it has the current school year, the right school name on top. We try and double check all that, but just in case there's an issue, we want to fix it before you distribute it to all your families. Make sure that families are using this year's application. So an old income survey or an old meal application is not going to work. They need to be using this 25-26 universal benefit application form. And we're going to provide this to you in English and Spanish. If your school population needs other translations, let us know. We'll do our best to provide them. We're going to share a few resources with you that you can use when processing forms that you receive. The first one is going to be this quick check document. This is great to have it printed out wherever somebody's going to be reviewing applications, because it just reminds you what things to check for. We're going to go through all this in detail, but I wanted you to know that you're going to have this reference available and shared with you as well. Let's talk about scanning applications to School Food Solutions. As I mentioned before, don't hold on to the forms. We prefer that you, on the day that you receive them, that they are reviewed and scanned to us as much as possible. So also the scans you don't need to save each one as an individual file, or as an image. Ideally, it would be like a batch PDF from like your school copier. Those usually work the best. When you send those to School Food Solutions, be sure to include your school name and the date in the email subject and the name of the file that you're attaching. If you happen to need to send more than one batch in the same day, you could add a batch number to that. All of these applications need to get scanned and emailed to forms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. That's FORMS@schoolfoodsolutions.org. Storing the originals. Again, for the case of audits, you do need to maintain the original applications on file for 3 years plus the current year. If you're going to get a lot of these alphabetical folios are great. Get one of those and just put them away under the letter of the child's last name as you receive them and scan them. You could also use binders, but we suggest that you use page protectors so that you're not hole punching the original applications. And also don't store the applications spread out in student cumulative folders. Keep all the originals together for the current year in one place. If you need them to be elsewhere in a different folder, make a copy. Thanks so much. And then CalPads. Direct certification lists. Again, your CalPads administrator should be doing this on a monthly basis. The new matches for each month are usually available by like the 10th. July is the first month of the 2025-2026 school year, so that DC list is the most important. It's going to qualify the bulk of your students who will be directly certified are going to be on that first July list. So the sooner we get that one, the better. These can be sent to forms at schoolfoodsolutions.org as well. We also provide a secure Dropbox link that you can use to upload the files. In addition to the regular direct certification extract, you could also send us your homeless list and foster list if those apply. Those can be pulled out of CalPads as well. Status lists are the spreadsheets that we're going to send you weekly, bi-weekly, and then later in the year, more like monthly, letting you know an update of how each student at your school qualifies. So each student will have a row in this file, and there's a column labeled eligibility, and it will say either free, reduced, or paid. Again, nobody's paying for meals, but paid basically just means not eligible for free or reduced. Students who are highlighted yellow do not have a processed application or direct certification on file for the current school year. Students with no highlights, so if they're just unhighlighted, that means something has been processed for them for this year. So there's no other action needed from those students. Be sure to review this list closely. Email us if there's any issue. This is also a great chance to check for those sibling connections. We try to extend benefits to siblings. The systems usually have a process by checking, if they have the same address, they'll do the extended benefit automatically, but they don't always catch everybody. So if you know of siblings that live in the same household but have different statuses here, let us know and we can extend the benefits to everybody in the household. And then again, make sure to share these with your CalPads and student information system administrators so that they can update the student records to show that free or reduced meal program record. Another thing that we're going to help you with are SunBucks data uploads. So SunBucks is a program also known as Summer EBT that was created by federal law and is being administered by the California Department of Social Services in partnership with the California Department of Education. And it helps families with school-age children buy groceries during the summer months when children might not have access to school meals. So SunBucks are $120 put on an EBT card and mailed to families' houses directly from the state. Each eligible child receives one card per summer when they're eligible. Universal benefit applications received through August 31st, 2026 and qualify for free or reduced benefits qualify students to receive an EBT card for summer 2026, meaning this summer. It also would qualify them for summer 2027 if it was submitted, after July 1st. So most folks who are eligible for summer 2026 SunBucks have already had their data uploaded from last school year. But if you have new students, if they submit an application before August 31st, they would get summer EBT for summer 2026 as well as summer 2027. CalPads administrators are going to need to upload a list of students approved to the state's Education Data Collection System, or EDCS. School Food Solution is going to provide that upload file in September after that August 31st deadline. And then we'll also provide another file at the end of the school year for students who became eligible after August 31st and are thus eligible for summer 2027. Here are some important dates. We will send you your universal benefit application packet once this training is completed and you complete the quiz, and once your roster is updated for the new year in your point of sale system so that we have accurate records to use to process the applications. Some other important dates to know are July 1st. Applications cannot be released before this date. This is when the new school year calculations start, and this is the first day that applications could possibly be received from families. July 10th is when the first set of direct certification lists for the school year become available. So make sure that your CalPads administrators know to download those and send them to us. August 31st is the deadline for families to submit applications to qualify for this summer's SunBucks, summer 2026 SunBucks. October 31st is the deadline for families to submit universal benefit applications or alternative income forms to qualify for LCFF funding on your October census 1.18 report. These are deadlines to be aware of, but families can submit forms anytime throughout the school year. Let's take a look at the universal benefits application. We're going to dive into it deep so that you know what to look for when you're collecting these from families. The application template here might look very familiar if you have done traditional meal applications in California before. The wording is a little different. It is called a universal benefit application, and the instructions are specific to that scenario. So families need to complete step 1, either step 2 or steps 3 and 4, and they need to complete step 5. Generally speaking, at the school, you shouldn't be writing anything on the applications unless there's an issue with the application. So that's another important thing. We fill out the school use only part of this for you. So the first part of the application is naming all of the children living in the household. The form does say student info, but this is where they can list all children, even if they do not attend a school. There's space to write the school name and grade and date of birth. Those are helpful to us when finding the children in your point of sale system, but they're not required fields. So the only thing that's required is the full name of the student or child. There is an option to select homeless next to a student's name. If that is selected, we will need the school's homeless liaison to confirm that before we can use that as a basis for free benefits. But if the student is qualified by another means like direct certification or a case number or the income on the form, we're just going to process it with that. But if the only thing would be the homelessness, we're going to have to reach out to you to confirm that with your homeless liaison. There's also space here to list student income. So if the children living in the household have their own independent income that contributes to the household, that can be listed here, along with a frequency of how often they get paid that amount. Step 2 is optional. It's helpful if someone in the household participates in CalFresh, CalWorks, or FDPIR, which is Federal Distribution Program for Indian Reservations. So if that applies, they can check that off and enter a case number. The case number should be like an 8 or 9 digit number. Sometimes it's got a mix of letters and numbers. The one thing you want to watch out for here is it should not be a 16-digit debit card number. So if they, for example, have CalFresh benefits, they might have an EBT card. That card number is not their case number. The case number would be on a letter that they received about the program. Now, if step 2 is complete, they've checked a program, they've entered a valid case number, then they can skip step 3 and 4, or you can kind of ignore step 3 and 4, because just putting that case number qualifies all those children for free benefits. So, step 3 in the application is the most complicated part. This is where they're going to list each adult household member's name along with their income amount and the frequency of how often they get paid. So If they leave these lines blank, they need to list everyone's first and last name, whether they have an income or not. If they don't list any income or they write $0, we're going to count that as $0. They should be reporting gross income, so their total income before any deductions, not their take-home pay. And then they have a choice to write how often they receive that income amount. So they could write weekly with a W, bi-weekly with 2W, twice a month with 2M, monthly with M, or yearly with Y. So for each income source, there needs to be an amount and a frequency. Underneath step 3 is step 4. This is where they're going to put in the total number of household members. And that number, that count, has to match the number of child and adult names on the form altogether. So if there are 2 children and 2 adults, the number in that box should say 4. All right. The last step is step 4. This is confirming, certifying, promising that what they put on the application is true. So they do that by printing the name of the adult household member who completed the form and signing it and then putting a current date. So what you want to check for here is that the name of the person signing is listed in step 3 as one of the household members. It can't be a student. It can't be some third-party person. And you want to make sure that that date that they put is the date that they finished the form, not their birthday or some other date. It needs to be a current date. The contact information, address, email, phone number, that's all optional. If they leave that blank, it's cool. There is also another optional section to report children's ethnic and racial identities. They can fill it in if they want, or they can leave it blank. There's a section at the bottom that says school use only, but you guys do not need to write anything on the applications. You do not need to complete that school use only box. We will do that for you. In the case of an audit, we will help you fill that out on the original form. You also don't need to mark up these applications with like stamps saying when they were received or when you scanned them or anything else about processing them. Try and leave them as clean as possible. The only exception to this is if the form needs a correction. So if an application is missing something that's required for us to be able to process it, you at the school can reach out to the family to get that information. So if something seems incorrect, you can draw a single line through it. Please don't use whiteout or correction tape. Just a single line is fine. And then you can write in the additional info that the family shared. And then you would just add your initials and the date that you obtained that correct information from the family. We'll go through some examples of this in a bit, but basically if they left something off that's required, there's no need for the family to come in to fill that out. You can usually just call them and get the information and write it in yourself. The only exception to that would be if it's not signed, then they would need to sign the form. All right. All right, let's wrap up then. Want to make sure that you know how to get support if you need additional help with anything. If you have questions about your applications, eligibility, direct certification, roster data, the easiest and best way to get in touch with us is to email formsforms@schoolfoodsolutions.org. Same email where you're going to be sending the applications that you scan. Same place you're going to be sending direct certification lists. This is also kind of your help desk for eligibility. That our whole team has access to that, and we're able to help you out. We also have a toll-free number available to families who might have questions about the application. You can share this with, if a family has an interesting situation or like is asking questions you don't know how to answer about the form, share this number with them. We'll talk them through it. They can leave us a voicemail if someone doesn't answer live, and we'll call them back. If you need additional support, you can always reach out to me, Andee Bose, directly, or you can reach out to your California client manager, Ryan Gomes. The email addresses are listed there. we're happy to help as well. So your next steps. Please remember to take the post-training quiz. That link to that will be in the email that we sent with this training. That will let us know that you've completed the training and that you're ready to receive your packet with your universal benefit application. Thank you so much for taking this training. We appreciate your partnership. School Food Solutions is so lucky to be able to work with you. Please let us know if you need anything, and have a great school year. Thanks.